And today we continue with our scrutiny of the NDC's People Manifesto. Our focus today is on job creation and employment. So the NDC is accusing the governing NPP of failing to do enough to create job opportunities for Ghanaians apart from sloganeering. And according to their manifesto, the NDC government, if elected to power, will implement what they're calling a Ghana framework for industrial revitalization, support and transformation, which is Ghana First, to boost the real sector of the economy and to create jobs. We will soon be joined in the studio. Well, I've already been joined in the studio by the NDC spokesperson on job creation, and also we'll have a labor expert join us via Zoom. But first, we'll take you live to town, where Manuel Kranting is out and about speaking to some young people in society on their current status and what they make of the NDC's plan of job creation. Hello, Manuel.
Yes, Gifty. So just like you're saying, in the 4 years of the NDC's reign, in fact, we had springing up of groups calling themselves unemployed graduates, the group of unemployed graduates and so on and so forth. In its attempt to come back, the NDC is promising a lot of jobs. In fact, about 1 million jobs in 4 years. Question is, are these jobs a feasible, deliverable in the 4 years that if they get it, they are going to be giving? I've been joined by some gentlemen who have been reading the manifesto, scrutinizing it themselves, and I want to pick their thoughts on that. Gil Ametepe is to my left. I have a couple of others. Gil, let me start with you. NDC says 1 million jobs, 250 a year. They are going to put in place a number of things to, achieve these things, these jobs. You think there's a feasible promise?
I think, thank you very much, first of all, and a very good afternoon to your viewers. I think it's quite feasible, and I've always held the view that the right policies to the right challenges give us the right results. It's clear that there's an issue with job creation, not just in Ghana, but across Africa. And getting to that point where government understands that and comes up with policies that directly try to solve that challenge is quite laudable. And, for the past years or for the past decades, what we've seen is that, promises are not always in phase with government's actions when they come to power. So you have promises whilst they are campaigning, and you have some governmental actions when they are in power, and they are not always in phase. But this time around, one key thing that I've taken from both NPP and NDC is that they have tried to actually address some needs, and
which include what?
Which includes job creation, which includes...
But people say these are just, words that they are throwing about as they, do all the time. And so we say 1 million jobs, and it sounds good. You may just vote for them, and 1 million jobs, will you really see it?
1 million jobs over 4 years. No, I mean 250,000 jobs a year. If you put in place, if you continue with the one district, one factory, for example, if you have road constructions across the country, when you are building new universities, for example, when you are empowering people with digital skills for them to kind of come up with jobs on their own. Maybe the next Amazon is from Ghana, maybe the next Facebook is from here. And we can only imagine that in the digital world, when you are kind of creating such platforms for people to get those skills, you make them more relevant. And I would like to also emphasize on the fact that from what I've read and from what I've been hearing so far, the 250,000 jobs are not just going to be like governmental jobs. They are not going to be...
It can be from private sector. They are going to stimulate private sector. Good. Let me go to Kobe. Kobe is here. And now, Kobe, the NDC says 1 million jobs, 250,000 in a year. They are going to set up what they call the Employment Act to monitor the job creation. That seems to be, some commitment to monitoring the progress of that promise, isn't it?
Oh yes, I think the NDC did a very good job in their policy, in their manifesto, and then they should be applauded on that. But the only problem I had was that, see, the 1 million jobs are supposed to cut across, because we have students emanating from various universities with different degrees, supply chain management, project management, linguistics, we have construction management. There was no specifications in there. So let's just say they are going to legalize Okada. Are all the 1 million jobs going to be Okada jobs? You understand? So those are things we should look at. But with the Employment Act, I think it's been long overdue. The government should have taken that on course, and then I feel that our district assemblies are available to do that kind of work, because now people complain these assemblies are there. What work are they doing? I just taking revenue from Ghanaians. And
I'll come back to you. Let me go to Joshua. Joshua, quickly. The NDC says that we'll maintain NAPCO, and we're wrapping it up shortly. We'll maintain NAPCO and give them incentives, give them permanent jobs, giving the framework, the framework that we have. Remember that we just came out of an IMF embargo on employment and so on. That's so much pressure on government payers, isn't it?
Okay, so on that particular note, I think that it's not going to be a lot of pressure. I mean, with yes, obviously we are coming from a post-COVID season, and we are looking at how we are going to recover the economy. We'll be virtually looking at people are being redundant over the years. I mean, that over this COVID period, I'm sure that companies have realized that they can actually use less people for more jobs. Hence, yes, there's going to be that deficit. But then if you are going to read what the People's Manifesto is talking about, I think that it has highlighted about 16 different sectors that are going to create employment, and from textiles to energy to waste management to agriculture to energy. It has various places. I mean, let's even take the agriculture, for example. I mean, it has plans of processing 50% of the cocoa made in Ghana. That alone is job creation. So if there's a promise that we are going to give permanent jobs, I think that it's not far from it coming to realization, especially when they have plans like that. For example, I mean, like my brothers just said here, you have individuals in things like chain making and things like that. I mean, if you're going to look at waste management and we're going to make it something that's going to be nationalized, I mean, the Eugene recycle team, which can be, I mean, done across the place. When you go to Singapore, you have those things being done on a national scale, and this creates employment. And then I think that the People's Manifesto has these things which are very feasible and can come.
Great. You talk about Singapore. Maybe I should follow you sometime to Singapore. But finally, before I go, the NPP said that it was going to do one district, one factory, one village, one dam, one this, one that. All of these things were expected to create jobs. 4 years down the lane, we've seen that all of these things couldn't see the light of day, giving an indication that you cannot really, provide almost all the things that you promise. The 1 million jobs that the NDC is providing, isn't it just another, one district, one factory, one village, one dam, in another version package as jobs?
Personally, I think the NPP's promises were also time-bound for the 4-year period. But overly, I personally believe that the 1 million jobs over the period of 4 years, okay, I just can't feel the feasibility and the balance in it. Because if you are bringing a manifesto is about what or why you want us to vote for you. So this and that and that. But personally, looking at the NDC manifesto on the 1 million jobs, the feasibility studies and the balance of it, I want to talk about the balance. I'm talking about looking at that in the other sectors. You understand? I just don't feel, because as my other brother was saying, Montana was saying, okay, you look at from the waste management, from all this, are there really areas that are, you understand?
We'll bring you more. We'll bring you more on the conversation as we move. But Gifty, you are hearing the conversation that we're having, and they are talking about feasibility. I was going to ask them about how government is going to, fund the jobs. I mean, the creation of the jobs that is talking. The NDC, I mean, not government. The NDC is going to fund the creation of the jobs. But I think that we can hand over to you now in studio, even as we continue the conversation here.
Yeah, certainly. Gifty. I do have someone who perhaps will be able to speak to how an NDC government, if elected, will be able to fund that particular project. And that person is Sebastian Day. He's a former executive director of Codvet, and he's also the NDC's 2020 spokesperson on job creation. Sir, thank you so much for your time this afternoon.
Thank you, Gifty.
You've heard these young people talk, and I'm wondering if you want to make a brief comment on what they've said. They think that it's a great idea. I mean, a good part of them think this is a great idea. They actually think it is feasible. But some of them also, like many Ghanaians, think, really? How are you going to do this? I'd like you to comment on that briefly, and then we get to talk about your plan.
Well, thank you. I think from the conversation they were having, I have the impression that they are thinking positively. Except to say that there is a part that the drift which I got in terms of they thinking that most of what we talking about has to do with government employing.
Okay.
But that's just a part of the whole equation, or a part of the strategies that we intend to put in place. Indeed,
okay.
That is going to be part, but it's not going to be the top priority.
So then it looks like that just dovetails right into the conversation about what is the plan, 1 million jobs.
Well, let me clarify that we are not talking about just jobs, but we're talking about sustainable jobs.
Fair enough.
To the extent that we do not want to count certain types of jobs that we see in the system now as the kind of jobs that we are talking about as the 1 million agenda. We're talking about the 1 million agenda, which we have christened in Twi as Ejumapa. Ejumapa in the sense that we're talking sustainable, decent jobs.
That should earn you like at least how much in a month?
Enough to make you get a good living.
Rough figure? Have a rough figure?
Well, it depends. It depends. Some people, based on whether you want to be entrepreneurial in your approach, or based on whether you want to be an employee, you would earn what you earn. But people finish school today and they just enter the world of work as entrepreneurs, and they begin to make like a CEO or a director in the public sector.
That's not really simple. So with the Ejumapa idea that the NDC has in mind, how much is someone supposed to earn that is decent? Because you're talking about sustainable jobs. In a sustainable job, will someone earn like say 2,000 cedis a month?
A sustainable job, yes, or more.
I see. Yes. Let's look at the plan again. What is the plan? The plan,
let me put it this way. It's actually premised on 3 strategic approaches we want to use. Okay. One of the strategic approach is to use what we call the big push, which is investing 10 billion in our economy over a period of 4 years.
Isn't that for infrastructure?
Yeah, infrastructure, investing in the economy.
So you're hoping that the infrastructural investment will create jobs?
Okay. It is infrastructure led.
Okay.
But infrastructure, not any type of infrastructure, but infrastructure that will lead to job creation. And it is going to spread across a number of sectors, those that have the potential of growing the economy. That is what we're talking about. And it ranges from the roads leading to places that you can drive the economy. It includes even ports. It includes even warehouses. It includes anything that you can think of. And we have identified 16 different sectors that are growth sectors. And that is what we want to use as those are the areas that we're going to invest in over a period. And the 10 billion is not going to be invested on day one.
So you have 16 sectors within which you want to create the 1 million jobs.
Not just that, but those are the key growth sectors.
The key areas.
Exactly.
Do you want to give me the first 5?
Agro processing.
So agriculture.
Agriculture is one. We're also thinking about power. The power sector. We're talking about agro processing.
Isn't that part of agriculture?
No. Agriculture is production.
Okay, and then you have agro processing.
Agro processing.
You wouldn't put all of that together under one umbrella.
Well, you can, but we're talking about apparels, which is light manufacturing. But starting from apparels to any other sector. We're also talking about the other areas like the creative arts, which is also one of the,
How do you intend to create jobs in the creative arts industry?
Well, I think that you in this industry have quite a number of things that you're doing, and which you would be, we are not going to create a job and then bring to you, but we actually stimulate the kind of things that make your cost levels go high, which is making you, which is actually militating against your ability to be able to expand. So, for instance, if you got some stimulus to enable you open up, enable you train people under our TVET training skills, for instance, where you will be supported by government, you'll be able to expand. And those are the kind of things we are talking about.
I see. So regarding the 16, I'll just go through what you have in your manifesto here that my producers have just supplied. Agriculture and agro-processing, pharmaceuticals. So agriculture and agro-processing are under one umbrella. Pharmaceuticals, health, tourism, light manufacturing, including apparels, accessories and assemblage, like you said, educational services, export, financial services, furniture, furnishing, ICT, oil and gas, strategic minerals, tourism, tree crops development. Wouldn't that fall again under agriculture? I'm wondering. Coastal landscape and forest management, wouldn't that again fall under agriculture? Infrastructure/construction, waste management, high-tech manufacturing, including chemicals. I'd like to find out from you. You have been at the helm of affairs at COVID before. What do you think, or what does the NDC think are the 5 key problems or issues that we have when it comes to unemployment?
Well, from the perspective you want to ask, or you ask the question from, that is, it has to do with TVET being a key driver of adding value to our agricultural produce, or adding value to our primary production or primary produce. This has to do with skills. And this has to do with skills which must be of a certain standard. And that is what we lack in this country, and that is what has actually been a drawback when it comes to us adding value to our primary produce.
Lack of skills, lack of value addition.
Yes.
And then which other one? Like I said, 5 key ones.
Yes. So I was actually going to that. And then lack of appropriate technology. Okay, skills goes with appropriate technology. Then standards, okay? Because if you actually training people to be able to do something, let me just say, for instance, the hair you're wearing, which is so beautiful, I must say, it must be of a certain standard, such that if, for instance, you had 5 people under training with you, and for one reason or the other, you're going to be away for 5 days, it is expected that if clients come to your company or come to your studio or your salon, right, they will be able to deliver what you would have delivered as the master craft person in that establishment. And it all goes to what we call standards. And that is why we're saying that the kind of jobs that the NDC has in mind, which is on the average, we're targeting about 250 of such within a year, average of such within a year, must be jobs which are sustainable, of world class, such that if you got somebody from Ghana and that person prides himself to say that, look, I have a certificate as a broadcaster from Ghana, he will be able to fit in anywhere and not ad hoc jobs.
One of the key issues that I recall us as a country having and discussing when it comes to job creation is the lack of statistics or a database that actually points us to who has a job and who doesn't have a job. How do you think, or how does the NDC envisage that Ghanaians can assess your deliverability of this promise after a year? How will we know that you've actually created this number of jobs? We've seen it when politicians will come and, you know, bundle figures and say, we have created this number of jobs, we have created that number of jobs, and you can't even see the people who are in those jobs.
Well, that is why of the 3 strategic prongs that we are actually going to, which is going to lead in the job production, job creation exercise or job creation initiative that we're putting across. Supporting that will be a few or a number of government, initiatives or policy initiatives, if I can put it rightly. One of them is creation of an Employment Act, a novelty in Ghana, which we are bringing. It's never existed, and that.
Why didn't the NDC do that in the previous administration? It was discussed at a point, wasn't it?
Well, of course, we couldn't do everything within the 4-year period, but and mind you, within the period that NDC left government and is coming back now, seeking mandate from the people, there are quite a number of things that we've put our minds to, and we'll be able to come to the conclusion that they are of priority, particularly because some of those things feature prominently in our interaction or our engagement with the populace as we went around, collecting views of the people. And creation of that Employment Act, I must say that is of top priority. The reason it is so is this. You see, district assemblies form a very core part of the Ghanaian public or government machinery which can be used to actually drive government business. But there is no law, or it's not part of their mandate. It's not part of the arrangement that they actually prioritize or mainstream job creation in their activities. But that when the Employment Acts come into force, you would realize that no district assembly or nobody heading a district assembly would prioritize his or her work, and job creation would not be part of it. So the law would actually force them to do so.
10 billion.
And then creation of the what I call the database, which is you know, the information systems. You know, getting that one on board is going to be part of that law, and I believe that those are things that will actually serve as the basis upon which these things can be driven by government in a very systematic way.
Is that why you are looking to legalize Okada? I read a message that Aziz Donla sends from WA. He says the legalization of Okada by the next NDC government will create sustainable jobs for the teeming youth. This policy is giving the government sleepless nights, and believe me, Ghanaians will show this incompetent government the exit door. Change is coming. Obviously, this person stands with you, but is the creation of 1 million jobs a part of legalizing Okada?
Put it the other way around. Is legalizing Okada part of creation of the 1 million jobs? If the question can be put that way, or, you know, I am just rephrasing the question so I can answer it the way it will address.
The way you want to answer
No, the way it
Let's hear it.
It will address what the gentleman is
if
talking
you say
about.
so.
You see, Okada, it's not a creation of the NDC government. It is something that actually evolved.
We know. It's the NDC government that wants to legalize it.
Yeah.
The NDC government that outlawed it, that wants to legalize it again.
Yeah. I'm coming from the perspective of we saying what we're saying, and that is the effect that an economic activity which has so much be entrenched in our society now, any responsible government, okay, any responsible person managing public, okay, needs to assess the situation and know whether that is contributing to the economy. And I tell you, Okada is doing so.
I see. Except
to say that Okada in its present form is risky. So you sit back and assess the situation and say, well, this is making a very huge contribution to the economic activities, particularly in the rural. So that's
part of the 1 million jobs that will be created.
Of course, once we create a condition where these people's activities, they are skilled appropriately, they are making contribution to the economy, they are making a contribution based on the people who are engaged in it doing the right thing according to rules and regulations, it will form part of it naturally.
Okay, this one says NDC's promise of 1 million jobs in 4 years is just for voting. Because voting sake, because this means that they will create 20,000 something per month, or be lie. Abdul Majid sent us from Nungwa. This one says NDC has never initiated any social intervention, yet they describe NAPCO as a bad job. You want to take on NAPCO and you say you want to give the people sustainable jobs. NAPCO is a creation, if you like, of the NPP, isn't it?
It is.
So what is the plan, since you don't have the blueprint?
Well, NAPCO is a creation of the current government, but it came in rightly as a stopgap measure to deal with the problem. But that's not the kind of measures we are talking about. We are talking about creating, again, let me underline it, sustainable jobs. Jobs that people can actually hold on for life, if that is what they so or they choose. You understand? So, you know, NAPCO, yes, but by the time we finish with our implementation of the plan that we have through these 3 prongs, you would realize that all current NAPCO beneficiaries, if they so wish, they will be absorbed into the system. But I tell you that one of the conditions under which they would be absorbed will be undergoing some level of training in a particular area that they so wish to join.
I see. How are you going to get that $10 billion What is the plan?
Various ways. One being what I'll call using approved and internationally recognized or legitimate development financing initiatives like creating PPP arrangements where we can get funding from outside, of this country to be able to invest in our economy for the benefit of all those who are participating. And these are well-known arrangements that I can talk about. Okay. I can also tell you that, you see, in this business of government financing or creation of revenue through which you can do this kind of activity, part of it is also making sure that you're prudent in your cost as a government. And I can tell you that all that we're putting on the table right now, they're backed by research. We've actually done in-depth research and realized that there are a number of ways that the current arrangement that government has, we see it as inefficient.
I see.
And if you address that inefficiency, if you cut down on costs, rationalize costs, you'll be able to make enough savings to plow back into some of these initiatives.
It certainly sounds like a consistent idea. I've heard the NDC advance. Let's wrap up with this conversation. I've run out of time completely. But this message says, I don't think the NDC did their research well, because the NPP has created more than 2 million jobs in less than 4 years. And again, I was talking about politicians banding about figures and saying we've employed so and so numbers. So he's saying that the NPP has created more than 2 million jobs in less than 4 years. Why should I vote for 1 million in 4 years? Make it your wrap-up comments for me.
My quick reaction to that is that perhaps if that gentleman discounted what we are saying, that they are not the kind of jobs we are talking about, perhaps you see that the number that he's banding about, that's come nowhere close to them 1 million. We are talking ejumapa, sustainable and decent jobs, that which is of world class. Okay. Now, if that is the case, then perhaps you would appreciate where we're coming from.
So why the person is saying, so why should I vote for 1 million in 4 years? Essentially, a final word to convince
I want him to convince people why.
Convince people why they should vote the NDC. I'm just giving you a few seconds to do free campaign.
Okay.
Convince people why they should leave what they believe, or like this message says, 4 million, 2 million in less than 4 years to 1 million in 4 years.
Yeah, I think the difference is clear. The difference is clear in the sense that we are actually coming up with something that will address the very things that the youth want. They want jobs, and sustainable jobs for that matter, and that is exactly what we want to give them. We are actually putting on the table jobs that we have listened to them across the country, and the kind of things they say they can do. They are able to do IT-driven, current economic activities that they themselves have put forward as what they are able to do, and that is the kind of thing we are talking about. We are not talking about jobs that they have a contract that will end in 2.5 years.
Okay, Mr. Day, thank you so much for your time this afternoon. Sebastian Day is former Executive Director of Corvet. He's been explaining what the plan is as far as the NDC's agenda of creating 1 million jobs in 4 years is concerned.